Welcome to another video where we try to solve tricky questions. Here in this is the question in Industrial Knowledge, question number 10 in the Security Evaluation chapter new syllabus, or the question 19 in the old syllabus. However, this is the question 20 in my book because I have an older edition in the old syllabus. This is a question which is usually a tricky one where students they try to mug up or they try to by heart the formula. Since it is a little complicated formula, they tend to by heart, but there is nothing such to by heart. It is a very really easier concept if you try to understand with logics. Before starting, let's read it once. Calculate the value of share from the following information. We have profit of the company, equity capital for the company, par value of share, okay, debt ratio of the company, which is debt divided by debt plus equity, a long run growth rate, that is the growth of the company, beta at 0.1, risk free interest rate at 8.7, market return, okay, capital expenditure per share, depreciation per share, change in working capital. So this is a question. Okay, before starting off, we have to know that they are asking for the value of a share, or it is the equity share, value of an equity share. So before starting, let's see how equity shares have been valued. Valuation of equity shares. To start with, we have the first method, which is the dividend based model. Second, earnings based model. See, I have already explained what earnings based model in the previous video. In the previous video. Now, if you haven't watched it, it will be there in the channel, where I will be giving the link to it in the I button in the top of this video, where we explained one among the various formulas of earnings based model, where we value an equity share based on that approach. Third, we have cash flow based model. Okay, in this question, in this question, there are points such as capital expenditure per share, depreciation per share, change in working capital. See, these suggest a particular method, which is the cash flow based model. See, so hence dividend is ignored and earnings been ignored. Under cash flow based model, there are things like free cash flow to firm, okay, free cash flow to firm, free cash flow to equity, where in short we call this free cash flow to firm as FCFF and free cash flow to equity as FCFE, where here it says that the free cash flow that flows into the firm, and the second one is a free cash flow that flows to equity. Okay, here we are taking free cash flow to equity because we are trying to calculate the value of equity share. Since we are trying to calculate the value of equity share, we are trying to find the free cash flow to equity. Now, how a share is being valued from this? See, the formula to that is P0 equals P0, that is the value of the share, or the price of the share today. Okay, the price of share today, P0 equals FCFE1 divided by KE minus G. See, price of the share today is the FCFE for the future years, that is a free cash flow to equity for the future years, divided by KE minus G. See, for many of you, I hope you know the formula P0 equals D1, dividend 1 divided by KE minus G. Okay, if you do know that, that is based on the dividend based model, that is your valuing in equity share based on dividend based model. It is the same. Now we are doing it with FCFE, free cash flow to equity. When you divide that with KE is the required rate of return minus G is the growth. Okay, when you divide that with this, okay, you get your price per share. So this, finding out this, gives you what your value of share is, or the requirement to our question. We wanted to calculate the value of share. Okay, this helps us to calculate the value of share. The concept to this formula is that the value of the share today depends upon the free cash flows that is running into the equity shareholders' hands the free cash flow that is running into the equity shareholders' hands, which is determined by the required return, or which is determined by the cost of equity. See, based on such determination, okay, the free cash flow, that is the free cash flow that is determined using such opportunity cost or the cost of equity or the required return, we are able to find out the value of share. Now, how to calculate FCFE, okay, or what FCFE is. FCFE, okay, FCFE is, you know that your income starts with the sales or revenue of the company, okay, sales or revenue of the company minus all your variable cost, minus all your operating cost, I mean all your fixed cost, sorry, sales minus variable cost minus a fixed cost, okay, finally you result into profit. The question now is whether you should deduct your depreciation here. See, depreciation, we are trying to find out the cash flow, the free cash flow to equity. That is, we are taking anything that's considered over here is something where cash flow is being involved. See, sales is involved in cash inflow, cost, variable and fixed cost is involved in cash outflow. So these are something where cash have been involved. So the question is, should we consider depreciation? So the answer is depreciation is not a cash flow item. Depreciation doesn't involve any kind of cash outflow. So basically, ideally, it should not be considered over here. But the thing is that depreciation should be considered because we will sales minus variable minus fixed cost results into profit. If we do not reduce depreciation over here, we have to pay tax obviously on profit. When we pay tax, depreciation is a tax deductible item. Now, if you do not reduce the depreciation from your profit, you have to pay tax even on the percentage of depreciation, which is not required. If you reduce depreciation to the extent of such depreciation, you are not required to pay tax. Now, going forward, I'll explain more. So this gives you profit. Your sales minus variable cost minus fixed gives you profit. Once you reduce your depreciation over here, okay, if you reduce your depreciation over here, okay, it results into profit after depreciation, okay, profit after depreciation, but before interest and tax, okay. See, if you had 100 rupees of profit, and if you had a 30 rupee depreciation, that means you have a 70 rupee profit before, that is profit after depreciation. Now, if you are paying tax, you are not only required to pay tax on 70. You are not required to pay tax on the 30. That is, if you had not reduced the depreciation, you should have paid tax on 100, which was not required. So if you reduce 30, that is, since depreciation is a tax deductible item, once you reduce depreciation, you are only required to pay tax on your 70. So that's the logic of it. Now, so you reduced, but depreciation is not a cash flow item. So what we have to add it back later at a point of time when tax is deducted. Okay, so we have it is before interest and tax. Now it involves minus interest, okay, which is a cash flow item, gives you PBT or profit before tax, okay, minus tax gives you PAT, profit after tax, okay, minus preference dividend if any, okay, gives you profit after tax for equity shareholders, okay. This profit for equity shareholders is ideally your FCFE, because you have reduced all your expenses, all your cash outflows, and finally reached a profit for equity shareholders, where equity dividend is being paid from, that is your normal dividend of the company is being paid from the profit after tax. So there could be a question that isn't profit after tax free cash flow? See, profit after tax is actually the free cash flow to equity basically, but see, there are certain expenditure which is not considered in this cash outflow. See, I'll just explain this. That is, in the P&L account, okay, in the profit and loss account, you have your income and expenses. You have your income this side, you have your expenses this side. Okay, income over expenditure results into profit over here. That is your closing balance as profit. Okay, when you take into the balance sheet, that is the profit goes into here with the capital. Okay, profit goes over here. See, there are certain items such as your fixed items. There are fixed assets over here. There are current assets over here. There are current liabilities over here. See, fixed assets, current liabilities are things which are not considered in your cash inflow and cash outflow. I hope you understand. See, fixed asset is something which is not considered. See, even this involves cash outflow. See, when you're purchasing something for the year, when you're purchasing a fixed asset for the year, there is cash outflow. And did you consider that here? We did not. See, fixed assets involved, there could be under fixed assets, there could be your opening balance. Obviously from the previous year you have opening balance. You have additions in fixed assets. Means what? These are something which is being taken or which have been purchased in the current year. Did we consider these additions, that is this cash outflow, purchasing of fixed assets, this cash outflow in this free cash flow so that it results into profit? No, it did not. It was something which came from the profit and loss account and we are taking into the balance sheet. So there are things like this which are not considered. There are things like current assets. There is opening balance of current assets. There are additions in current assets which could have been purchased. That is, there is a cash outflow, but we have not considered it in the profit. There could be current liabilities that could be arising in the profit. That is something which we have paid off. There could be things that there is an opening current liability. This is a liability, so there could be opening current liability. There could be things like we paid off our existing current liability. Did we consider here? No, we did not. So there are things as such which we should consider, only after which we can end or we can arrive at a free cash flow to equity. So the profit after tax should be, obviously it has to be reduced from your fixed assets, current year addition in fixed asset for the current year. In other words, we can say that it is a capital expenditure. That is your addition in fixed assets. Addition in fixed assets for the current year. That is any addition, any increase in fixed assets for the current year, made in the current year. Okay, minus your what? Your current assets purchased. Okay, current assets that has been purchased. Now plus current liability. We added current liability because it is in the same side of profit, so we cannot reduce. Obviously that's logical. I hope you understood. Current liability, since it is in the same side of profit, we have to add it back, so to increase your profit. Whereas in this side, current assets and the fixed assets have to be reduced so as to decrease your profit. Now we added back, we took capital expenditure minus current asset and plus current liability, and finally there is something which we said in the beginning, that's depreciation. Depreciation also have to be added back because it's not a cash flow item. Plus depreciation. Okay, see, current assets and current liabilities we can consider, or I hope you know, this is working capital. Obviously current assets minus current liability is working capital. Okay, okay, so since if current assets is higher, obviously we have to reduce working capital. Since if current assets is higher and current liability is lower, we have to reduce working capital. Okay, so profit after tax minus capex minus working capital plus depreciation is something. But see, everything is done. This results into free cash flow, that's right. But the only question left here is this logically correct? Because see, capital expenditure, current assets, current liability, these are something which is obviously, see, why did we consider here? Because for the equity shareholders, they made a capital on which this capital is being purchased, on which the fixed assets, on the current assets, on the liabilities have been purchased. See, you had a capital over here in this balance sheet. You had a capital from which all these fixed assets addition, current assets addition, current liabilities have been paid. Everything happens from this capital, which is obviously for the equity shareholders. But the question is, this capital does not only involve equity. There is debt. See, capital is of two types. There could be equity, there could be debt. See, in terms of debt, we reduced interest over here. So these debt holders like banks and debentures have been removed from this section. From this, they have been removed. So it results into profit for the equity shareholders. When we are trying to reduce this capital expenditure and the current assets, which is being purchased from the whole capital, isn't it illogical to consider as such? Because we have to take only the portion of equity capital, that is the portion of current assets and the fixed assets that has been purchased from equity. Shouldn't that be reduced over here? Yes, it has to be. Okay, instead of reducing the whole assets over here, it is logical, highly logical, to reduce the proportionately the capital expenditure and the working capital to the extent of equity from the profit after tax for equity shareholders. So all the three, that is all the three, that is capital expenditure, your working capital and your depreciation, should be proportionately considered. Okay, proportionately considered for equity shareholders and not for debt. Debt should not be considered over here, it is for proportionately. Even depreciation has to be considered as such, because depreciation is something which we reduced it so as to reduce tax. However, we have to add it back at a point of time, because it is not a non-cash flow item. It is not a non-cash flow item. But since we are only trying to find out the free cash flow to equity shareholders, only to the extent of there should be added back. We are not considered about, we are not bothered about the depreciation for the debt holders or the debentures. We are only considered for, because we are finding the free cash flow for equity shareholders, we are only considered about the equity portion of the depreciation. So now everything is right. This results into free cash flow to equity. Having free cash flow to equity, we can use it in the formula over here. Okay, that is a P0 equals FCF1 divided by K minus Z, which results into your P0. So we'll quickly try to solve this. Okay, in this question we have the information related to the question, which is, see, we have the profit. We have the profit, which is 290. Okay, which we are considering it to be profit after tax, because no information is given. We consider it to be profit after tax for easier calculation, which is 290 crore. So it has to be ideally over here, profit after tax for equity shareholders, which is 290. Okay, 290. Your capital expenditure per share is 47 rupees. Okay, 47. It has to be proportionately. See, the capital expenditure has to be proportionately. How whether any proportion is given in the question? Yes, it is the debt ratio of the company, that is debt divided by debt plus equity, is 0.27. That's 27%, obviously 0.27. Debt is 0.27 and equity is something, so that the total reaches out to be 1. Okay, I hope you understood. That is, out of the 100%, 27% was equity. So 1 minus 0.27, or 100 minus 27 is equal to 0.73. So equity is 0.73. So capital expenditure to the extent of equity, 47 into 0.73 gives you 47 into 0.73 gives you 34.31. 34.31 is something to be reduced. Then we have working capital. Here change in working capital is 3.45 per share. Working capital is 3.45 into 0.73, which is equal to 0.73 into 3.45. 2.5185. 2.5185 is to be reduced. Now we have depreciation. Depreciation per share is 39. Okay, 39 into 0.73. 39 into 0.73 gives you 28.47. Okay, this is to be added. So reduce and add. Now there is a question, there's a problem over here. See, all these three, that is your capital expenditure, working capital and your depreciation, is given per share. See, capital expenditure is on per share, depreciation is per share, change in working capital is per share. But here we are considering the profit on for the whole equity shares as 290 crores as a whole. It is not per share. So we have to calculate this also as on per share. So how do we calculate profit on per share? That is profit obviously divided by the number of shares. How so the number of shares can be found from here. That is, the total equity capital is 1300. The value of share, okay, the value per share is 40 rupees. So 1300 divided by 40 gives you number of shares. Okay, so number of shares is equal to 1300 divided by 40 gives you 32.5 number of shares. Right, so if we divide it, that is 290 was for the all equity shares, divided by 32.5 gives you 290 divided by 32.5 gives you 8.923 per share. So profit per share is being reduced. From that, capital expenditure per share is reduced, working capital per share is reduced, and depreciation per share is added back. So this results into 8.923 minus 34.31 minus 2.5185 plus 28.47, which results into 0.5645. So this is your FCFE. Okay, now we'll put it into the formula, which is FCFE P0 is equal to FCFE1, that is 0.5645. See, 0.5645 was the FCFE for the current period. We are trying to find out the FCFE1, that is for the next year. How do we find that? By adding growth, that is 0.5645 plus growth, which is given in the question. Okay, it grows by the long run growth is it grows by 8%. So 0.5645 plus 8% divided by KE minus G, that is something KE has to be found minus G, which is again 8%. See, for KE is not given directly in the question, but there are hints to KE. There is beta of 0.1, there is a risk-free interest rate of 8.7 and market return of 10.3. From this, that is from CAPM approach, CAPM model, we can find what is the KE. I hope you know what CAPM is. It is CAPM or it is KE. Finding KE through the formula is RF plus beta into RM minus RF. See, RF is the risk-free return plus beta into RM minus RF. That is the market return when is your RF. Your RF is equal to 8.7, I hope. Yes. 8.7 plus 0.1, okay, into market return is 10.3. 10.3 minus 8.7. Okay, this gives you 10.3 minus 8.7 into 0.1 plus 8.7 gives you 8.86%. This is your KE. So we'll write it over here 8.86%. So having solved this, 0.5645 plus 8% gives you 0.60966 divided by 0.86%. Okay, this gives you 0.60966 divided by 0.86%. Gives you rupee 70.89. 70.89. Okay, we'll just check with the answer. 70.89. Right now, there is a particular formula, however, is given in this answer. The answer has a particular formula, which is this, that is the FCFE equals net income minus 1 minus B into capex minus depreciation plus 1 minus B. There's a huge formula over here. It is the same thing. The formula, which is like this, have been made into a tabular form by me. There is no difference over here. We instead of, see, if you try to find out, if you try to analyze, it's the same thing. Net income is the profit after tax for equity shareholders. 1 minus B, that is B is your debt ratio. So 1 minus B means it is your equity, obviously. So your equity into your capex, that is the capex, that is a capital expenditure taken proportionately in equity terms. Okay, it is reduced minus, see, net income minus your capex, so it is reduced. Eventually it is reduced over here as well. See, 1 minus B into your depreciation. Obviously depreciation again here it has been taken proportionately. Okay, however it is minus of minus. See, it is minus when you multiplied 1 minus B with depreciation, there is a minus and minus, so it is plus. It is plus depreciation proportionately. Okay, again 1 minus B into change in working capital, again your working capital into 1 minus, that is your proportionately, and there is minus again, minus. Okay, minus 1 minus B into change in working capital, hence it is minus this thing, working capital again is minus plus depreciation. Eventually it is your FCFE. See, I have done the same thing, however here it was a formula, here it was in tabular format, so there is no difference as such. There is no difference in the concept or the answer. There will not be any difference. However, for the presentation wise there will be a difference. However, I think you will be getting marks for both, because you are not changing concepts, you are not changing, or you have even made it more detailed in a tabular format, so there wouldn't be a big difference in marks, I guess. So this was the answer to the question. It is just a simple question, it's a simple answer. If you understand the logics and the concept of it, it is a really simple question, nothing of a big deal. So thank you so much for watching. Till next time we meet again. Bye bye.